Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dara Hawkins Hodgson!
I was 16, living in Cleveland, Ohio, and going to an all-girls Catholic school. And I wanted to try out for the tennis team, so I needed to get a physical. So I go to the doctor's office, I'm in the waiting room. The nurse calls me up. She takes my height, 5'2", and she takes my weight, 87 pounds. She was a little concerned, but didn't say anything, and brings me into the doctor's office. So the doctor comes in, and he does the physical examination, and he notices that I have no pubic hair, no armpit hair. I have the chest of a 10-year-old boy. And I'm not getting my period. Yeah. So he starts asking me some questions about my body image and my eating habits. And like a good Catholic girl, I repress and deny, and I lie to him. I say, I love my body, and I eat when I'm hungry. When the truth was, I was starving myself. I hated my body. And what that felt like was having a software program hijack my brain whose goal was to detach itself from my physical needs. So this doctor recommended that I see an endocrinologist. He saw it as a problem, that I was almost a legal adult and wasn't going through puberty. So the endocrinologist prescribes me estrogen pills, which end up instigating that process. So as my peers were walking around with their deeper voices and new breasts, experimenting with each other's bodies, I was walking around in a sexless, androgynous child's body. But as I start going through puberty, I start experiencing sexual attraction for the first time. So I make out with the cute neighborhood boy watching Requiem for a Dream. And was disappointed. And eventually I get to college, and I start getting really drunk and going to parties and dancing, and there's a lot of cute people around, so I'm starting to make out with some of them. And a typical following day would look like me feeling sick to my stomach, crying in my dorm room stairwell, just feeling like ashamed and disgusted with myself. My mind wanted nothing to do with sexuality. It wanted to shut the door on that. So at some point, I decided to more consciously pursue my attractions, and I came out as bisexual. I had my first sexual experiences with women. I was in a polyamorous relationship, and I also started playing with the masochist and the submissive and the top in me. And all of this was something my body wanted to do, but my mind was just like, nope, we're not on team sex. We're not doing that. So I was overwhelmed and just feeling insecure and lost. So one day I was with 3 friends at the Mystery Box Show, and I saw a woman named Eva Blake tell a story about masturbating in front of 25 strangers as part of a sexological bodywork training. And I felt like she was talking directly to me. I was like at the end of my rope, I needed help, and so I give her a call. Sexological bodywork is hands-on sex education. These educators encourage you to fully inhabit your body. So we schedule an appointment, and the day comes. It's a winter day in Portland in 2014. It's gray and rainy, and I'm walking through downtown to get to this person's office. and feeling terrified. I am feeling like asking myself if I'm a horrible person for paying for some sort of sex service, I think. And also just don't know what to expect. I don't know if I'm going to knock on the door and be seduced. So I can't breathe, but my legs get me there, and I knock on the door. And this gorgeous, dark-haired woman with magical green eyes answers, and she just says, "Hi, you must be Dara." And I say, "Yep, that's me." And she says, "Come on in. I'm about to use the restroom, but make yourself a cup of tea and have a seat." So I make myself a cup of dandelion tea, and I sit on the couch. And I look around. There's lots of purple and black in the room, and really it just looks like a typical therapist office. There's a couch, 2 chairs, some coffee tables, a massage table pushed up against the wall, a bookshelf with titles like Mating in Captivity, Politics of Lust, Radical Ecstasy, all things I wanted to read. So Eva comes back in, and she sits down, and we just start talking. I ask her her story, how she got into that line of work. She asked me about my sexual history, about my peak erotic experiences, about my worst ones. And she asked me about my solo sex life. And then she starts asking me about what I really want. And as I move into that space of longing and dreaming, those doors that I had closed forever just come crashing open, and I start sobbing. What comes up is things like I felt undeserving of pleasure, like I was just there to watch someone else get off, or help them, or look a certain way while they have fun. Or that somehow I was missing something, like there were things that everyone else had that I just didn't have that capability. And Eva did this amazing thing. She just held space for that while I cried. She asked me to breathe into it, asked me questions about where I felt it on my body. And then we agreed that the next session we would get into some body work. So that day comes, and I show up at the office. We move the massage table out from the wall into the center of the room. Eva invites me to get undressed to the degree that I feel comfortable, and says she's going to go use the restroom and wash her hands. So I get completely naked, and I lie face down on this massage table. So my sense of Eva at that point was both as this highly skilled, emotionally intelligent practitioner, and as this witchy, erotic priestess. And I felt like a student and a seeker. So there was power in the room. And my sense of the room was both as this therapist office in 2014 and as this portal that was opening me up to connect to life-invigorating energies that I had been alienated from. So Eva comes back in, and she turns on some music, and she approaches the massage table. She puts one hand on my back and one hand on my arm, and asks me to take a deep breath and make noise as I exhale. My mind wants to run out the door. You know, it's just me and her and all this space. There's no one else to pay attention to or to look a certain way for. And so Eva starts touching me. She runs her hands over my head, which makes me feel grounded. My neck, my back. I'm getting turned on, like all the cells in my body are waking up. My butt, my thighs, and eventually I turn over, and she asks, "Is it okay if I take the sheet off?" And I say, "Yes." And it's just her bare hands on my bare skin. And as she touches my collarbone, I feel waves through my breasts, my core, my cunt, my thighs. Some of those touches feel like waves, others like lasers. And with my newfound knowledge of my genital anatomy, I can visualize exactly everything that's going on down there. So eventually our time is up. There was no orgasm that day, but there didn't need to be. I had never felt like I received so deeply in my life. I also felt gratitude for the pioneers, the body workers who are creating these vital spaces where we can connect to all of ourselves. And that through that sexual experience, I have felt, on a second-to-second basis, a unity between my mind and body that has allowed me to live more present than I ever have.